Have you ever felt the ground shift beneath your feet? Not in a literal earthquake, but in a more unsettling way, a tremor in the foundation of things you thought were solid. That's what it feels like when the market stumbles. When numbers on a screen begin to cascade downwards, it's easy to feel a knot tighten in your stomach, a cold wave of worry wash over you. But what if those numbers aren't just random fluctuations? What if they're a symptom of something deeper, a warning sign about the very structures that hold our economic world together? Today, we're going to talk about a day when those foundations felt particularly shaky. A day when a series of events sent shockwaves through Wall Street, wiping out billions in value and leaving investors scrambling for answers. It wasn't a sudden, isolated event. It was the culmination of tensions, a collision of forces that exposed vulnerabilities we often prefer to ignore. The Dow plunged over 1,000 points, a staggering drop. But to understand why, we have to look beyond the immediate numbers and delve into the complex interplay of global trade, political pressure, and the delicate balance of power. Imagine a carefully constructed house of cards. Each card represents a piece of the global economy, trade agreements, investor confidence, the stability of financial institutions. Now, imagine someone deliberately nudging the table. A small gesture, perhaps, but enough to introduce instability, to create a ripple effect that threatens to bring the whole structure tumbling down. That nudge on this particular day came in two distinct forms. First, from across the ocean, a tightening grip from Beijing, signaling a reluctance to play by the established rules of trade. It was a message to its partners: choose between working with China or working with the United States. A stark ultimatum. This isn't just about tariffs and trade balances. It's about influence. It's about reshaping the global economic landscape. And when the world's second largest economy throws down a gauntlet like that, the repercussions are felt everywhere. It's a move that forces nations to reevaluate alliances, to weigh risks, and to brace for potential disruption. But the nudge didn't stop there. Almost simultaneously, a message appeared on a social media platform, a post that carried the weight of a presidential decree. A direct challenge to the very institution designed to safeguard the American economy. This wasn't a calm, considered policy statement. It was a public rebuke, a demand for immediate action. The president called for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates, a tool used to stimulate economic growth. But here's the crucial point. The Federal Reserve is supposed to be independent. It's designed to operate free from political interference, making decisions based on economic data, not political expediency. It's a safeguard, a buffer against short-sighted decisions that could jeopardize long-term stability. So when the president openly criticizes the Fed chair, derisively calling him Mr. Too late and even hinting at termination, it strikes at the heart of that independence. Think about it like this. You have a skilled ship captain navigating a treacherous sea. The captain relies on instruments and expertise to steer the ship safely. Now imagine someone on shore constantly yelling instructions, questioning every decision, and threatening to replace the captain on a whim. Would you feel confident in the ship's ability to reach its destination? Would you trust that the journey would be safe? That's the situation investors found themselves in. The president's actions weren't just about interest rates, they were about trust. About the stability of an institution that, for decades, has been a cornerstone of the American economy. The market reacted viscerally. It doesn't like uncertainty. It doesn't like the feeling that the rules are being changed mid-game. It doesn't like the prospect of political interference in what should be a purely economic decision. As the numbers tumbled, analysts struggled to make sense of the chaos. Experts were brought in, their voices attempting to cut through the noise. One analyst pointed out the inherent risk. Even if a more compliant Fed chair were appointed, even if rates were lowered as demanded, it might not have the desired effect. Lowering rates could fuel inflation, prompting the Fed to raise them again later, potentially causing even more damage. It's a dangerous game of short-term fixes, with potentially devastating long-term consequences. And it's not just about the Fed. The underlying issue is the escalating trade war. The U.S., seeking to level the playing field, has imposed tariffs on goods from China and other countries. But tariffs are a double-edged sword. They can protect domestic industries, but they also raise prices for consumers. They can encourage domestic production, but they also risk retaliation from trading partners. And as the trade war drags on, the uncertainty grows, stifling investment and dampening economic growth. The longer it continues, the more ingrained those higher prices become, the more difficult it is to reverse the damage. It's like trying to untangle a knot that's been tightening for months. Imagine you're a business owner. You rely on imported materials to manufacture your products. Suddenly, those materials become more expensive due to tariffs. Do you absorb the cost, sacrificing your profit margins? Do you pass the cost on to consumers, risking lost sales? Or do you move your production elsewhere, abandoning your workers and your community? These are the difficult choices businesses are facing, and those choices have real-world consequences. The analyst highlighted the frustrating reality that even securing seemingly easy trade deals with allies like Japan wasn't happening. There was a lack of momentum, a sense that the administration wasn't prioritizing the economic stability that these deals could provide. A crucial clock was ticking, and the White House seemed unconcerned with the mounting pressure. The markets aren't just reflecting economic conditions, they're reflecting expectations about the future. And right now, the expectation is one of uncertainty, of risk, of potential disruption. Investors began pulling their money out of U.S. markets, seeking safer havens elsewhere. Foreign investment dried up, further exacerbating the decline. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fear of a downturn created a downturn. And then there's the question of legality. Can a president actually fire the Fed chair? The answer, as one congresswoman pointed out, is complicated. While the president has the power to appoint the Fed chair, removing them is a different matter. It requires cause, inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance. Simply disagreeing with their policies isn't enough. The independence of the Fed is a carefully guarded principle, designed to protect it from political whims. The congresswoman acknowledged the uncertainty, admitting that even experts weren't sure what the president could legally get away with. But she also pointed out a crucial point. The very threat of interference undermines the Fed's credibility. It's about more than just one person. It's about the stability of the entire system. It's about maintaining the trust that investors, businesses, and consumers have in the American economy. When that trust is eroded, the consequences can be far-reaching. And the longer the uncertainty persists, the deeper the damage will be. This isn't a partisan issue. It's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about the fundamental principles that underpin a healthy economy. It's about the importance of independence, transparency, and stability. This day on Wall Street wasn't just about falling numbers. It was a stark reminder of how interconnected our world is, how easily confidence can be shaken, how quickly uncertainty can spread. It was a wake-up call, a moment to pause and reflect on the fragility of the systems we often take for granted. And it raises a fundamental question. What are we willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of short-term gains? Are we willing to jeopardize the long-term stability of our economy for the sake of political expediency? Because ultimately, the market isn't just a collection of numbers. It's a reflection of our collective hopes and fears. It's a barometer of our confidence in the future. And when that barometer drops, it's a warning that something is deeply wrong. It's a signal that we need to step back, to reassess our priorities, and to reaffirm our commitment to the principles that have made our economy strong. The tremors may subside, the numbers may recover, but the underlying vulnerabilities will remain until we address the root causes of the instability. Until we recognize that true economic strength isn't built on short-term fixes and political maneuvering, but on a foundation of trust, independence, and long-term vision. The stakes are higher than ever, and the future hangs in the balance.